I don't know how disruptive the guys are with Zadorov right now, but you're right. I read the comments, I read the articles, and also read Connie's comments too, saying, you know what, we're going to try and see what's best for the organization and the player, but we're not in a rush. So, good on Connie, because he's not going to rush to trade a player just so that the player, can move on. He's got to get full value for Zadorov. And right now, the more I think about it, his value is pretty solid based on the demands of the league. Because I guarantee you, there's 5 or 6 teams, maybe more, calling Connie going, what's it going to take? Because we need an upgrade here, whatever that looks like. If in their 4 or 5 position, if he can play higher or lower, that just depends on the individual organization.
Well, and I thought about this the other way. I think it was mentioned on another podcast. I don't remember which one, but it's like, look, if Connie just bows and trades this guy, what message is that sending to all the other agents? There's a lot of free agents that this season, and this new GM, like, we'll just ask and you'll be out in no time. Like that's not what you want. Everything that Connie's doing here, I don't want to say precedent setting, that might be too strong, but people are building a book on how you behave. You don't want to cave to the players' demands immediately on this one. It's the first time it's happened to you. You got to, I think, hold a pretty strong front, even if you're getting good offers now. Like, well, maybe they'll get better. Yeah,
I agree, because everyone is watching. So you are a young general manager. You do have, he inherited, with Tree leaving, he's inherited some unrestricted free agent status situations. He got Backlund done, but I think he got Backlund done on a reasonable contract that both sides could live with, and, make him your captain. He's a quality citizen, all of the above. Like that, we've discussed that at length. But now, where are the conversations with Hannafin? We talked about it last week. That was a big number, and, that's cooled off. I think they might have dodged a bullet if that number and all of that doesn't come to fruition. Same thing with Lindholm. What's the marketplace? So it's not just Zadorov. You're setting a precedent of how you're going to do business moving forward with these managers, with the agents. And it's a learning curve. Ask Kyle Dubas, because Kyle Dubas, one of his first tasks was to sign Marner and Nylander and Matthews the first time around. And those numbers, people in Toronto still complain about it, them conforming a little bit and giving the players what they wanted. And, they're jammed up in the cap.
Well, I was curious too, for teams, when are you going to come with your best offer? When are you prepared to make it? And of course, we talk about the trade deadline, but just the teams we hear: Vancouver, Toronto, New Jersey. And the Leafs went through a rough patch, and now they've won 4 in a row. And New Jersey's they're outside of the playoff picture, but they're right there. So those are 2 teams that would like to maybe get on a bit of a roll. Meanwhile, Vancouver, they're humming right along.
Right.
I think the thought is as soon as we start to struggle or have an injury, then we need to make a trade. I wonder sometimes guys, what kind of a boost you can give to a room that's already playing well. And it's like a show of faith. Hey, we have something special here, and we're adding to it.
Yeah, I agree. I would love, and I guarantee you, all of the managers would think like you, Boomer, as far as you want to deal from a position of strength. Like, here's our offer, we're fine. But we want to add. I would much rather be a proactive manager nowadays, like not sitting there waiting till the deadline and paying premium like you're going right now. And if you feel like the player is a missing piece, like I do believe that is, as long as you're not paying a king's ransom and just get completely rinsed, you still feel like you could give a good clip for a player like Zadorov and go, you know what, it might cost me X, Y, Z, but I'm trying to win now. I'm trying to round out my team. If I'm Jersey, I'm on the outside looking in. We need help. But if I'm Vancouver, you're right. Like, I want to sustain this, because I think there's a lot of people that believe, and rightfully so. If you look at the numbers, like, there's going to be some regression there. They're not going to shoot. Were they shooting like 35% or something ridiculous?
Crazy.
So they've got some numbers that will come back down to earth. So in that reset, if you add a little different dynamic in that room, add another player into that room, add some depth, I would be doing that. I'd be looking at that for sure if I'm Van.
Well, and that sort of reminds me of when Calgary added Tyler Toffoli. It was ahead of the deadline. It was definitely about the price you'd have to pay at the deadline. But Treliving's like, this is a guy we need. It's a right shot scorer. He's going to fit our group perfectly. He's a veteran. He's won before. He's got a low cap hit. He's here for a couple more years. We're doing this now. if you get your business done early, you also give a guy a little more time to acclimatize. There's really only about a month of games from the deadline to the playoffs this year.
And acclimatize, find out what he is in the room. Does he fit in the room? Like, you
Where's
could
he
have a
gonna
guy
play?
that comes at
Yeah.
the trade deadline and you hardly get a feel for him unless you go on a run. And if you go on a run, then you pay because you're excited and all that, right? Like, there's something to be said.
And the environment is so friggin' tight too, right? Every game is so important, every up and down. Like, you just don't have, I would guess that for those players coming in, there's expectations on you to produce, and there's so little time, and every day is just, you're in a pressure chamber.
Well, take a look at the standings. I mean, alone right now, we were talking about with Edmonton. Edmonton's played 17. They get 65 games left, and they feel like tonight's a must win. You know what I mean? Like,
already.
like they're in the vice. Like, and there's other teams that I'm looking at. Like, take a look at the Atlantic Division alone. Like, Ottawa was at the bottom. I think it's Buffalo now. I didn't look at it today, but Ottawa's won 3 straight, and they're at the bottom because they're looking up because the Leafs keep winning, Boston keeps winning, Florida keeps winning, Tampa's winning. Detroit's right up there. So you're in. Like, you're looking at it going. Like, the pressure, it's not just internal, it's in the standings going, there's a lot, like, there's some top tier teams, but there's probably 20 teams that are jammed up in that mediocre middle, and organizations are going, okay, we're going to go for it. Do we wait for the dust to settle? I know American Thanksgiving's like what, Thursday or Friday or whatever, but the league started late. So I find it tough to judge a team by American Thanksgiving when you're starting October 13th. Like, I want to see 20 to 25 games of a team and not just 17, 18. I still think there's more runway there. But we are looking at American Thanksgiving traditionally when we start early October and go, you are what you are. That's what your record is, So there's teams that are surprised, like Philadelphia Flyers. Did they expect to be in a playoff spot at any point this year?
What a heater.
No, but the coach, that's the new coach bump right there. That's the, Tortorella holding people accountable. Columbus, I feel bad for them. They've had a mess right from the offseason with the Babcock stuff, and now you got Patrick Laine, like healthy scratch. I don't even know what they're doing. Johnny's been benched there. I think they're winless in 9. Like, they're in one right now. But outside, there's a couple teams right at the bottom. Everyone else is kind of bunched up. So I think making these moves, you have to be proactive to make sure that you're ahead of the curve to allow the runway and that you don't fall deeper into the standings if you do run into injury issues.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.